Good morning, peoples. December the 19th. Probably actually going to go down to Chiang Mai in a couple of days, maybe like the 22nd, 23rd. Just stretch that little vacation out a little bit because we leave the 25th. Christmas Day is when we fly down to Pattaya to go to the beach, Bang Saen. So just thinking escape a couple of days early, hang out in Chiang Mai 1 or 2 days. It's always fun down there. And then stay a couple of days after we come back. We fly back up that Sunday, the 27th. I was flying down from my buddy's wedding, and that's why I only made it 25, 26, 27. And then he's not getting married because the lockdown. He'll get married eventually, but not December 26th because of the lockdown. So that's why it's only 3 days. So we're going to pad it with a couple of days beforehand in Chiang Mai and a couple of days after in Chiang Mai, and then come back up to Pai Pai. December 19th, never listen to a doubting Thomas unless you are willing to become one. Not a doubting Thomas. I know Thomas, and he is doubting Thomas. Unless for doubt is contagious. Okay. We human beings have a great capacity for doubt. Despite our most valiant efforts to overcome our doubts and insecurities, they occasionally creep into our minds before we realize what is happening. A negative word from another may be enough to trigger our own suppressed negative feelings. He's really going like Dr. Freud here, huh? Our own suppressed negative feelings and unleash a wave of groundless fears. Positive thinking is something that is learned, fragile, and usually countercultural. It must be practiced constantly. Wow, okay. So he actually hits a lot of good points here. What he's saying is it's almost the normal state of affairs to have doubts. I think it's human. It's human to have doubts. And I agree 100% with him. Insecurity and fear, right? And that causes doubt, self-doubt especially. And they creep into our minds before we realize we're not even aware that it's there. And a negative word from another may be enough to trigger. There you go. That's huge, right? Triggering by being around negative people. So there's an old thing that's been floating around for years that your income is going to be the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Well, on the brain wave and the mindset thing, if you spend a lot of time around negative people who are always complaining and putting things down and playing the victim, and when I say putting things down, that includes you, right? They're not supportive of you, they're not encouraging you, but they're putting you down. I think it's only natural to be down if you're around positive people. And this is why I love the real estate groups, the meetups. I talked about Yellowbird to the point where you guys are like a Yellowbird. Yeah, Yellowbird is where you can go, and REIF is where you can go and be surrounded by positive people. Get your gas tank filled back up, because you do have negative thoughts. You do encounter negative people who tell you you can't. To counter that, you need to be around positive people that tell you you can, right? So this is huge, guys. This is really what it's all about. Positive thinking is learned. You're teaching yourself. You're replacing the negative thoughts with positive, like going to the gym and replacing fat with muscle. And fragile. So in the beginning, I would say, once you've achieved a level of success, I don't think it's fragile at all. I think it's rock solid and it's a core value. But in the beginning, it can be fragile until you really believe in it, and because it's giving you results, right? That's when remember I say the FU check. When you get your FU check, it solves all the questions for the doubters, including yourself, because it's self-doubt we're talking about also. And usually countercultural, right? The masses are not entrepreneurs. The masses are sheep that work 9 to 5 for companies. And if those people did not generate more money for the company than they get paid in salary, they would be fired. Think about that for a second. From a monetary standpoint, if you're working for IBM or Apple, you are generating more money in what you're doing for Apple and IBM and the stockholders and the board, the rich guys, then you are getting paid in salary. Otherwise, it wouldn't be financially, fiscally possible for them to pay you, and all the other employees, not just you. So once you understand that you are worth more than you are being paid as an employee, that's sort of the seed that gets most people onto an entrepreneur path, where they say, I'm doing the work anyway, and I think I'm undervalued and underappreciated and overworked and underpaid. That's what plants the seed that makes you want to go work for yourself. An asshole boss, a stupid boss, a boss who got there politically and not through knowledge. There's a lot of triggers that would make you want to be an entrepreneur and work for yourself. So once you've become an entrepreneur and once you've had success as an entrepreneur, then you learn to look at the people who are being negative and consider the messenger before you take the message to heart. And the reason they're negative is because they're unhappy. And they want you to be unhappy too. They're bringing you down. So good stuff. My boy Napoleon is on target more than he's off, and I hope you guys are getting a lot from this series. I am.